I want to do a brief video on something that's come up about the Pennsylvania count and this vote flipping issue. Now, let me just say that, and this, we've had this whole Sidney Powell, Tucker Carlson flap and all this stuff. And my view is that Sidney Powell is on to something about Dominion. I believe that she is. But I think that she's taken it too far. I think she's ran really far with it. And so the result is when you overstate your case early on, and if something less than that but still significant comes in, it tends to diminish your impact. And as a trial lawyer of a great experience, I would have thought she would have understood this. But at any rate, let's look at what I found about Pennsylvania. And this is not too statistical. This is very basic. And I think you'll see a pattern here of vote flipping like she's talking about. And the key here is that in Georgia, they did the recount and we really didn't find it, okay? And I think what happened in Georgia is something else. I've already put out this thing about the affidavit of the poll worker who observed a series of boxes that allegedly contained ballots that were machine printed. And he's sworn this under oath, and I think that may be what happened in Georgia. It may not have been, even though Dominion was used there, it may not, what happened in Georgia may have been done with different techniques. And one reason I think this is that Georgia was not a high priority state for Biden. He had to win, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But I don't think that in his mind, but I don't think that particularly, I don't believe Georgia was a high priority. But let's say in the following, let's take a quick look at what I found about Pennsylvania, because it's in the raw vote itself. Okay, when we look at this chart here, if you'll notice two things. There's a column there called New Trump. It would be I guess it's the fourth from the right, in which there's a series of highlighted boxes and a bunch that are not highlighted as you go down the list, okay? So look at that one, and then go over and look at the Trump column, okay? And now the first one, you can't see what happens on that. So you go down to the second yellow box from the new Trump, and then go over to Trump, and then look at the value of Trump's total aggregate count before, and then look at where that box is. Trump's count goes down, not up. Okay. Notice on the other side, of course, that Biden's count goes up, not down. And then if you go down, and every time there's a single yellow box on the new Trump column, you go over and you look at the Trump total above and then at that line, and you'll see that it drops every time as you go down. Now, where there's a double box, it'll drop on the first one, but perhaps not on the second one. So that's a situation where that happens that way. But if you look at each of the single boxes, every time you'll see repeatedly all the way down where that happens that the Trump total drops from the value it was before the yellow box on the right to the one where it is on the yellow box. Now, if you look at the Biden column on the same thing, you'll see that the Biden numbers go up continuously in every single time slot. It never goes down at all, ever. Now, so this is why I think you can see in this Pennsylvania data that something really odd is going on here. Now, I'm not necessarily playing to the theory that's been put out by other people. I'm just looking at raw data, not claiming any special analysis other than simply looking at the two columns of raw data and showing why does the Trump numbers ever go down. This is about the cumulative tabulation of votes. And as the votes come in, you will, of course, have the situation where the votes should go up. Now, the only reason I can see for a vote total to go down between two time periods would be if there was an error that was made and they were correcting the error. But do we believe that all the errors were made in favor of Trump and then corrected back, but there were no errors made in favor of Biden and corrected back? And it's also interesting that going into the people that do have their statistical theories of vote flipping, that's exactly where they think the vote was flipped by a certain amount, that these discrepancies in the Trump column show up. So when you bring in their statistical theory on top of this, it tends to confirm that for the Pennsylvania data, you will see the pattern of where votes seem to be flipped in favor of Biden and away from Trump. And then they give their analysis of how many total votes they think were flipped. But just sticking to basic things, something is odd going on with the Trump total. And that is kind of a done deal, as I see it. And that's why I think we need to have a thorough recount of the Pennsylvania vote, at least in those districts that did some odd things otherwise. And so anyway, I'll just kind of close this up for now, but I think you ought to see this. This is very interesting data, and I don't know if it's been pointed out this way. So if you like these videos, again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or give me a like, make any comments you have. I know I had a comment with Ed Wheaton on Twitter today about this, and I don't think he quite buys what I'm saying, but I'm suggesting look at it from this particular perspective. Okay, well, that'll be all for now.